The fluorescent lights of Walmart buzzed overhead, casting a sterile glow over the aisles of Clarksville, Tennessee. It was a Wednesday morning. The kind of slow, gray day where the store felt more like a waiting room than a retail hub. Register number 4, tucked between a display of discount DVDs and a rack of gum, was manned by Ethan Harper, a 20-year-old community college student whose curly black hair perpetually escaped his Walmart baseball cap. His name tag, slightly crooked, read, Ethan, in bold letters. And his quick smile had become a small comfort to the regulars who shuffled through his line. But today, something was different. A sharp voice cut through the hum of scanners and cartwheels. If you can't pay for it, don't waste everyone's time. This isn't a handout station. A young woman at Ethan's register froze, her toddler clutching a tattered stuffed bunny in the cart. Ethan's hand paused over a can of baby formula. The cameras overhead caught every second. But what unfolded wasn't just about a transaction. It was about a choice, one that would unravel secrets, spark a firestorm, and change lives. Welcome to QH Incredible Stories. Let's dive into what really happened. Ethan had been at Walmart for 9 months. A job he'd taken to cover the gaps his partial scholarship didn't. Clarksville, just a few miles from Fort Campbell's military base, was a town stitched together by Army families, retirees, and transient truckers. The store was a microcosm of that life, soldiers in fatigues grabbing energy drinks, grandparents hunting for deals, kids trailing parents with hopeful eyes fixed on candy bars. Ethan liked the rhythm of it. The way scanning groceries felt like solving a puzzle while he mentally rehearsed Python code for his night classes. At 20, he was lanky, all elbows and knees, with a habit of doodling binary trees on napkins during breaks. He wasn't here to change the world, just to pay for textbooks and maybe, one day, a better laptop. But Ethan noticed things. The way Mrs. Larson always bought the cheapest cat food, apologizing to her tabby under her breath. The soldier who came in every Friday, his hands shaking as he counted change for a single frozen pizza. Ethan didn't pry, but he remembered. His mom, a single parent who'd worked double shifts at a diner to raise him, had taught him that, see people, not just customers. So when the young woman pushed her cart to his register, Ethan noticed her before she even spoke. She was in her late 20s. Maybe, with a faded army green t-shirt and jeans frayed at the knees. Her baseball cap was pulled low, shadowing her eyes, but they were sharp, tired, like someone who hadn't slept in days. Her toddler, a boy with a smudge of dirt on his cheek, babbled softly, his tiny fingers wrapped around the bunny's floppy ears. She placed 4 items on the conveyor with deliberate care: a can of baby formula, a box of pediatric electrolyte drinks, a jar of vapor rub, and a loaf of white bread. Ethan watched her hands, calloused, steady, but moving like they were rationing energy. Morning, he said, scanning the formula, his voice light. This little guy keeping you up? The boy grinned, a gap-toothed smile that made Ethan chuckle. He's a handful, the woman said, her voice low, almost swallowed by the store's ambient noise. Stomach bug. Been rough. Her tone was clipped, not unfriendly, but guarded, like she was used to keeping her story to herself. The register beeped, $32.19. She reached into a small zipper pouch, her fingers trembling slightly as she pulled out a handful of crumpled bills and coins. She counted them once, then again, her lips moving silently. Ethan saw the moment it hit her. Her shoulders slumped, her jaw tightened. She was short, maybe $10. Her eyes flicked to the toddler, then back to the screen. I'm sorry, she whispered, so quiet Ethan barely heard. I'll put back the electrolytes. Her voice cracked on the last word, and the boy's babbling stopped, his bunny now pressed tight against his chest. Before Ethan could respond, the customer behind her, a man in his 50s with a cart piled high with chips, soda, and frozen pizzas, let out a loud huff. "If you can't pay for it, don't waste everyone's time," he snapped, his voice carrying to the next aisle. "This isn't a handout station." The woman's cheeks flushed, her cap dipping lower as if to hide her face. A few heads turned, cashiers, customers, even a stocker pausing mid-shelf. The toddler's lip quivered, and he reached for his mom, who pulled him close, her movements jerky, protective. Ethan's stomach twisted. He'd seen impatience before, but this felt personal, like the man was wielding his words as a weapon. "Mom," Ethan said, keeping his tone steady, "it's no big deal. You can skip one item. Or," he leaned in slightly, his voice dropping, "I can cover the difference." Her head snapped up, eyes narrowing under the cap's brim. "No," she said firmly, almost sharp. "Thank you, but I can't accept that." There was pride in her voice. A steel Ethan hadn't expected. But he'd already made up his mind. He'd been skipping coffee runs and packing PB&J for lunch to save for a new laptop battery. $10 was a hit. But the way her hand hovered over the electrolytes, like letting them go would break something deeper, hit harder. He swiped his debit card through the employee terminal. Quick and quiet, paying the full amount before she could argue. "It's done," he said, sliding the receipt across the counter. "Don't worry about it." Her mouth opened, but no words came. The toddler tugged at her sleeve. And she nodded, barely, her voice a whisper. "Thank you." She gathered her bags. Her movements rushed, like she was fleeing the spotlight of the moment. The man in line, Ethan caught his name tag later. Mr. Hargrove, wasn't done. "You're paying for her stuff," he barked, loud enough for the next register to hear. "What is this? A free-for-all? I'm talking to your manager about this." The woman was already halfway to the exit, her toddler's bunny bouncing against her hip. Ethan's co-worker, Jasmine, at register 5, shot him a look. "Ethan, that's Hargrove. He's got corporate on speed dial. Watch yourself." Ethan shrugged, scanning Hargrove's chips. "Some things are worth it," he said under his breath. But his pulse was racing. He hadn't meant to start a scene. He'd just seen a mom, a kid, and a need. Why was that so complicated? As the morning dragged on, Ethan tried to focus. Beep. Scan. Bag. Repeat. But Hargrove's words lingered like a bad taste. He wondered about the woman. Her guarded eyes. The way she'd counted her coins like they were all she had. He didn't know her story. But he knew the weight of desperation. His mom had once stood in a grocery line, counting pennies for milk while Ethan, barely older than the toddler, clung to her hand. Maybe that's why he'd acted. Or maybe it was just instinct. Either way, he didn't regret it. Not yet. Ethan Harper's sneakers squeaked against the linoleum as he pushed a cart of returns back to the stockroom. The echo of Mr. Hargrove's voice still ringing in his ears. "I'm talking to your manager about this." The words had landed like a punch, sharp and personal. And now, as Ethan's shift neared its end, he felt the weight of them settling in. The Walmart in Clarksville, Tennessee, was usually a predictable grind. Scan. Bag. Smile. Repeat. But today, that rhythm was off. The young mother's hurried exit, her toddler's bunny bouncing against her hip, kept replaying in his mind. He didn't regret helping her. Not for a second. But the fallout was coming. And he could feel it like a storm brewing. Back at register 4, Jasmine, the cashier at the next station, kept stealing glances at him. She was 25, with a sharp wit and a knack for reading people. And she'd seen enough Walmart drama to know when trouble was brewing. "Ethan, you stirred the hornet's nest," she said, leaning over as she scanned a pack of socks. "Hargrove's not just some grumpy regular. He's got a buddy in corporate. Last year, he got a cashier written up for giving a kid a free sticker. Ethan forced a smile. Bagging a customer's groceries. Guess I'm in for more than a sticker. Then, but his stomach churned. He'd used his own money, not the store's. How could that be wrong? As the clock ticked toward 2 p.m., Ethan's shift ended. But before he could clock out, a voice crackled over the intercom. Harper, manager's office. Now, customers glanced up, curious, and Jasmine mouthed, "Good luck." Ethan adjusted his cap, his palms sweaty as he navigated past the break room to the small, cluttered office where Carla Ruiz, the store manager, waited. Carla was in her 40s, with a no-nonsense demeanor softened by years of dealing with Clarksville's quirks. Her desk was buried under schedules and complaint forms. And today, a new one sat front and center. "Sit," Carla said, not looking up from her computer. Ethan perched on the edge of a folding chair, his lanky frame awkward in the cramped space. Mr. Hargrove filed a formal complaint. "Says you paid for a customer's groceries with your own card. That true?" Ethan nodded, his throat tight. "Yes, Mom. She was short about $10. Her kid was sick, needed formula and stuff. I didn't think it was a big deal." Carla sighed, pushing her glasses up her nose. "Ethan, you've been here 9 months. You know the rules. Declined transactions go to customer service. We have payment plans, discounts, protocols. You can't just swipe your card and call it a day." Ethan shifted, his sneakers scuffing the floor. "I get it, Mom." But she wasn't trying to scam anyone. She was embarrassed, counting coins like they were her last. I couldn't let her walk away without those things." Carla's expression softened, but only slightly. "I don't doubt your heart, Ethan, but Hargrove's claiming you showed favoritism, undermined store policy, and, his words, encouraged freeloading. He's emailing corporate, and he's got a contact there who listens." Ethan's chest tightened. "Favoritism? I didn't even know her. I just saw a mom struggling." Carla typed something, her fingers brisk on the keyboard. "I'm putting a warning in your file. No more personal payments. Ethan, it's not just about policy, it's liability. What if she was a scammer? What if she sues? We can't have cashiers playing Robin Hood." Ethan nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. He thought of his mom, years ago, standing in a grocery line with a calculator, her face tight as she put back canned soup to afford diapers. He'd been too young to help then, but he wasn't now. "Understood, Mom," he said, his voice flat. As he left the office, his phone buzzed with a group text from his coworkers. "Hargrove's at it again. You okay, hero?" Ethan ignored it, heading to the break room to grab his backpack. But Jasmine was waiting, her arms crossed. "You're too nice. You know that. Hargrove's gonna make your life hell." And words out, someone posted about it on the Clarksville community board. Ethan froze. "Posted what?" Jasmine pulled up her phone, showing him a blurry screenshot of security footage, his register. The woman's silhouette, the moment he swiped his card. The caption read, "Walmart cashier pays for strangers' stuff. Hero or suckered?" Ethan's face burned. "Who posted this?" Jasmine shrugged. "Some rando in line. Probably. It's got 200 likes already. Comments are brutal." He scrolled through. "He's gonna get fired for this. Bet she planned it. Knew he'd cave. Good kid. Bad judgment." Ethan handed the phone back, his jaw tight. "I didn't do it for clout." Jasmine patted his shoulder. "I know, but this town loves gossip. Better brace yourself." At home, in his cramped apartment, Ethan tossed his keys on the counter and sank onto the couch. The comments stung more than he'd expected. Naive, suckered. He hadn't thought twice about helping the woman, her tired eyes. The way her toddler clung to that bunny. But now, doubt crept in. Had he been played? No, he didn't believe that. Still, the idea of strangers dissecting his choice. turning it into a spectacle. Made his skin crawl. He opened his laptop, trying to focus on a coding assignment. But his phone kept buzzing. More texts. More notifications. The post was spreading. Ethan's mom called. Her voice warm but worried. Jasmine told me what happened. You sure you're okay, baby? Ethan sighed, running a hand through his curls. I'm fine, Mom. Just helped someone out. And now it's a thing. She paused, then said, You did what felt right. Don't let folks make you second guess that. Her words helped, but only a little. As he hung up, Ethan wondered about the woman. Who was she? Why had she been so short on cash? And why did her pride, that fierce no to his offer, stick with him? He didn't know it yet. But that moment at Register 4 was just the beginning, a spark that would ignite something far bigger than he could imagine. By Thursday morning, Ethan Harper's quiet life as a Walmart cashier had been upended. The Clarksville Community Board post, with its grainy security footage of him paying for a stranger's groceries, had exploded. What started as a local gossip thread had spilled onto Twitter, Reddit, and even a Nashville news blog. The video, shaky and low-res, showed Ethan at Register 4, swiping his card for a woman whose face was obscured by her baseball cap. Her toddler's stuffed bunny was the only clear detail, bouncing as she rushed out. The caption, "Hero or Suckered," had lit a match, and now the internet was ablaze. Ethan, who'd always preferred staying under the radar, felt like he'd been thrust onto a stage he hadn't auditioned for. He clocked in at 7 a.m., his Walmart vest feeling heavier than usual. Co-workers whispered as he passed, some offering thumbs-ups, others smirking. You're famous, Harper, said Marcus, a stocker pushing a pallet of cereal. Check your fan mail yet? Ethan forced a laugh, but his stomach was in knots. At Register 4, he tried to focus, beep, scan, bag, but customers were staring. An older woman buying yarn leaned in. You the kid from the video? That was sweet, but you gotta be careful. People take advantage. Ethan nodded, his smile tight. Just doing my job, Mom. Jasmine, at Register 5, was less subtle. You see the comments yet? Half the town's calling you a saint. The other half thinks you're a pushover. She slid her phone over during a lull, showing Ethan the latest thread. The post now had 5,000 shares, with comments ranging from "This kid's got a heart of gold" to "He's enabling deadbeats. Fire him. One user, Clarksville Truth 99, wrote, Bet she's a pro at this. Hits up young cashiers. Plays the poor mom card. Ethan's jaw clenched. They don't even know her, he muttered, handing the phone back. But the comments weren't the worst part. At home the night before, Ethan had scrolled through the thread himself, each jab chipping away at his resolve. Naive kid. Walmart's not a charity. He'd closed his laptop, but the words followed him to bed, mixing with memories of the woman's tired eyes, her toddler's gap-toothed grin. He didn't believe she was a scammer, but the doubt was there, a tiny splinter he couldn't ignore. Had he misread her? Was his mom right? That kindness didn't need a receipt. Or was Jasmine's warning, "This town chews up nice guys," closer to the truth? The store was busier than usual, likely because of the post. A group of teens lingered near the electronics aisle, giggling and pointing phones at Ethan. Yo, it's the Walmart hero, one called. Snapping a photo, Ethan's face burned, but he kept scanning, ignoring the stares. During his break, he retreated to the break room, hoping for a moment of quiet. Instead, he found Carla Ruiz waiting, her arms crossed. Ethan, we need to talk. Corporate's getting calls about the video. They're not happy. Ethan sank into a chair, his ramen forgotten. Calls about what? I used my own money, not the store's. Carla sighed, sitting across from him. Doesn't matter. The footage makes it look like we're running some kind of vigilante charity. Hargrove's contact incorporate is pushing for disciplinary action, suspension. Maybe worse. Ethan's heart sank. Suspension? For helping someone? Carla's eyes softened, but her voice was firm. You broke policy, Ethan, and now it's a PR mess. We're meeting with a regional manager tomorrow. I need you to keep your head down until then. As Ethan left the break room, his phone buzzed with a text from his mom. Don't let this get to you. You did good, but it was getting to him. The whispers, the stares, the threat of losing his job, it was all too much. He needed this job, not just for rent but for the stability it gave him. The proof he could make it on his own. Back at his register, he tried to focus, but every beep felt like a countdown to trouble. That's when Jasmine nudged him. Check your locker before you leave. Someone left something. After his shift, Ethan opened his locker and found a plain envelope. No name. Inside was a military dog tag, engraved with Sergeant L. Morgan, U.S. Army, and a handwritten note. I don't take handouts. But you made it feel like respect. Thank you. L.M. Ethan's breath caught. The woman's army green shirt. Her clipped movements, it made sense now. She was a soldier. The note was short, but its weight was immense. Like a lifeline in the storm of doubt. He slipped the dog tag into his pocket, his fingers tracing its edges. Whoever she wasn't what the internet thought. But as he stepped outside, a news van pulled into the parking lot. And Ethan knew the storm was far from over. Ethan Harper clutched the dog tag in his pocket as he walked home from Walmart. The Clarksville air crisp with the bite of early fall. The note from L.M., Sergeant L. Morgan. He presumed, felt like a shield against the online vitriol. But it also raised questions. Who was she? Why had she left this? And why did her words, "You made it feel like respect," hit him so hard? The viral video, now at 10,000 shares, had turned his small act of kindness into a public trial. And Ethan was starting to feel like a defendant with no lawyer. But the dog tag was proof. The woman wasn't a scammer. Wasn't a deadbeat. She was someone with a story. And Ethan was determined to hold on to that. At his apartment, a one-bedroom walk-up with peeling paint and a leaky faucet. Ethan set the dog tag on his desk, next to his coding textbooks. He reread the note, tracing the neat handwriting. Respect. He'd only wanted to help, not to make a statement. But her words gave his choice a weight he hadn't anticipated. He thought back to her at the register, her tired eyes. The way she'd counted her coins with such care. There was pride there, a kind he recognized from his mom, who'd once turned down a neighbor's offer to pay their electric bill, saying, "We'll manage." Ethan had been too young to understand then. But he did now. His phone buzzed, pulling him back. A text from Jasmine. News crews at the store tomorrow. They want to talk to you. Ethan groaned, tossing the phone onto the couch. He wasn't a hero, wasn't a story. He was just a guy who'd seen a mom in need. But the world didn't see it that way. He opened his laptop, against his better judgment, and checked the Clarksville Community Board. The post had morphed into a full-blown debate, with new threads popping up. Is Walmart's policy too strict? Should cashiers be allowed to help? The comments were a mix of support and scorn. But one stood out. I was in line. That woman looked desperate, not sneaky. Kid did the right thing. Ethan's heart lifted, but only for a moment. Another comment, from Clarksville Truth 99, was gaining traction. He's probably in on it. Staged for clout. The accusation stung, not because it was true, but because it twisted his intentions into something ugly. He slammed the laptop shut, his hands shaking. He hadn't asked for this, none of it. But as he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the dog tag's weight lingered in his mind. Sergeant Morgan had trusted him with something personal. Maybe that was enough to keep going. The next morning, Friday, the store was a circus. A local news van was parked near the entrance. Its crew setting up cameras. Customers whispered, some snapping photos of Ethan as he clocked in. "You're the kid, right?" a man buying batteries asked. "Saw you online. Nice move. But don't get fired over it." Ethan mumbled a thanks, his face hot. Jasmine caught his eye, nodding toward the news crew. "They're asking for you. Carla's stalling them, but you might wanna hide." Ethan shook his head. "I'm not hiding. I didn't do anything wrong." But trouble was brewing inside the store. 2. During a lull, Carla called Ethan to the office again. This time, a man in a suit, Mr. Daniels, the regional manager, was there. His expression unreadable. "Ethan, this video's causing problems," Daniels said, tapping a pen on the desk. "Corporate's getting pressure from Hargrove's contact. And now the media's involved. We need to control the narrative." Ethan frowned. "Control it how? I paid for her stuff." "That's it." Daniels leaned forward. "We're considering a statement saying you acted outside policy but meant well. It saves face for the store." Ethan's stomach dropped. "Saves face? You're making it sound like I messed up." Carla jumped in, her voice softer. "Ethan, we're trying to protect you. Hargrove's pushing for termination. A statement could calm things down." Ethan's hands balled into fists. "Protect me by throwing me under the bus." Daniels raised a hand. "No one's throwing anyone, but you need to cooperate. No talking to the press. No fueling the fire online." "Understood." Ethan nodded, but anger simmered beneath his skin. He'd helped someone, and now he was the problem. As he left the office, he felt the dog tag in his pocket, its edges grounding him. Sergeant Morgan wasn't a faceless stranger anymore. She was real, and her note was proof that his choice had mattered. But as he returned to his register, a new thought hit him. What if she saw the video? What if she thought he'd done it for attention? The idea made him sick. He didn't know her story, but he knew she valued dignity. Had he taken that from her by making her a spectacle? The question gnawed at him, setting the stage for a revelation that would change everything. Ethan Harper's Friday shift felt like walking through a minefield. The Walmart in Clarksville was buzzing, not with the usual hum of shoppers, but with the electric tension of a store under scrutiny. The news van outside had drawn a crowd, and Ethan's Register 4 had become a tourist attraction. Customers lingered, some offering quiet support, "You did a good thing, son," others whispering loudly enough for him to hear, "That's the kid who got suckered." The viral video, now at 20,000 shares, had turned Ethan's life into a public referendum, and the weight of it was crushing. The dog tag in his pocket, Sergeant L. Morgan, U.S. Army, was his only anchor, a reminder that his choice had meant something, even if the world didn't see it. Jasmine, ever the realist, tried to lighten the mood. "You're trending on Twitter now. Harper, got a hashtag and everything. Hashtag Walmart hero. Wanna start a fan club?" Ethan rolled his eyes, scanning a pack of diapers for a customer. "Pass. I just want to do my job." But doing his job was harder now. Every transaction felt like a performance. Every glance from a customer loaded with judgment. During a rare lull, he checked his phone, ignoring Jasmine's warning not to. The Clarksville Community Board was a war zone. A new post, titled "Walmart Cashier, Saint or Sinner," had 1,000 comments. "He's a kid with a big heart." One read, "He's a kid with no sense." Counted another, "Clarksville Truth 99 was back." Doubling down, "This screams staged." Bet he knew the cameras were rolling. Ethan's chest tightened. Staged? He'd barely noticed the cameras. Those silent eyes in the ceiling that had turned his impulse into a spectacle. The accusation wasn't just wrong, it was personal. Like a slap to his mom's lessons about doing right. No matter who's watching, he thought of Sergeant Morgan. Her note tucked in his wallet, "You made it feel like respect." Had she seen the video? Did she think he'd betrayed her trust? The idea gnawed at him. a new kind of guilt he hadn't expected. The store's atmosphere didn't help. His co-workers were split. Some, like Marcus, teased him good-naturedly, calling him Robin Hood. Others, like Sarah at Register 6, kept their distance, as if his trouble was contagious. "You're making us all look bad," Sarah muttered during a restock break, her voice low. Hargroves saying we're all bending rules now. Ethan frowned. "I used my own money." Sarah, "How's that on you?" She shrugged, walking away. "Just saying, corporate's watching." Corporate was indeed watching. At noon, Carla pulled Ethan aside again, her face etched with stress. "The regional manager's coming back this afternoon." Hargrove's contact sent an email to the district VP, claiming you're undermining store integrity. They're talking about a formal review. Ethan's heart sank. "A review? For $10? Carla nodded. "It's not about the money, Ethan. It's about policy. And the video's making it a PR nightmare. Corporate's worried about copycats, other cashiers doing the same. Customers expecting handouts." Ethan's voice rose, sharper than he meant. "I wasn't trying to start a movement. I just helped a mom." Carla's expression softened. "I know, but you need to lay low. No talking to the press. No responding online. And Ethan, don't make this worse." He nodded, but anger simmered. He wasn't the one who'd posted the video. Wasn't the one turning a quiet moment into a circus. Back at his register, he tried to focus, but the news crew was now inside, filming B-roll near the entrance. A reporter approached, mic in hand. "Ethan Harper, can we get a quick word about the video?" Ethan shook his head, his voice firm. "No comment." The reporter persisted, but Carla stepped in, ushering him away. During his break, Ethan's mom called, her voice a lifeline. "You holding up, baby?" Ethan leaned against the break room wall, closing his eyes. "Barely. They're talking suspension, Mom, for helping someone." She paused, then said, "You did what I taught you. That's worth more than any job." Her words steadied him, but only slightly. He thought of his coding classes, the dream of a tech job, a life beyond Walmart's fluorescent lights. Losing this job wouldn't just hurt his wallet, it would derail everything. As his shift ended, Ethan checked his locker, half hoping for another note from Sergeant Morgan. Nothing, but the dog tag in his pocket felt heavier. Its edges a reminder of her pride, her struggle. He didn't know her story, but he knew she was more than the internet's caricature. Walking home, he passed a group of teens filming TikToks outside the store, chanting, "Walmart hero." Ethan pulled his hoodie up, quickening his pace. The world was watching, but they weren't seeing the truth. Not yet. Ethan Harper woke up Saturday with a headache and a phone that wouldn't stop buzzing. The viral video had hit 50,000 shares overnight. And hashtag Walmart hero was trending locally, alongside hashtags like hashtag Clarksville kindness and hashtag Walmart scam. Ethan ignored the notifications, his mind still on the dog tag and Sergeant Morgan's note. He'd hoped the storm would die down. But Clarksville was a small town, and gossip was its lifeblood. As he pulled on his Walmart vest for another shift, he braced for more stares, more whispers. But today, something unexpected was waiting, an ally who'd change the tide. The store was packed, the parking lot overflowing with weekend shoppers and gawkers drawn by the video. Ethan clocked in, avoiding eye contact with the news crew still lingering near the entrance. At Register 4, he fell into his rhythm, beep, scan, bag, but the tension was palpable. Customers were bolder now, some slipping him notes, "Keep it up, kid," or snapping selfies when they thought he wasn't looking. Others weren't so kind. A woman buying dog food muttered, "Your why prices are so high, giving stuff away." Ethan bit his tongue, bagging her items. He was tired of defending himself, tired of the spotlight. Jasmine, as always, had his back. "Ignore the haters," she said, scanning a customer's groceries. They're just mad they don't have your heart. But even Jasmine's optimism couldn't erase the dread of the impending corporate review. Carla had warned him. The regional manager, Mr. Daniels, was meeting with the district VP today, and Hargrove's complaint was at the top of the agenda. Suspension was on the table. Maybe worse. Ethan tried to focus, but every beep of the scanner felt like a countdown. Mid-morning, a new face appeared in Ethan's line, a man in his 60s. Wiry and weathered, with a Vietnam veteran cap and a faded army jacket. His cart held just a few items: coffee, bread, a pack of batteries. "You're Ethan, right?" he asked, his voice gravelly but kind. Ethan nodded, wary. "Yes, sir." The man leaned in, his eyes sharp. "Name's Tom Randall. I saw the video. You did right by that woman. Don't let the noise get to you." Ethan managed a small smile. Scanning the coffee. "Thanks, sir. Just trying to do my job." Tom wasn't done. "I know her type," he said, lowering his voice. "Military. You can tell by the way they carry themselves. Proud. Even when they're down. That woman wasn't gaming you." Ethan's hand paused over the batteries. "You think she's military?" Tom nodded. "Bet my pension on it. Seen it in Nam. Seen it here. Soldiers don't ask for help easy." Ethan's mind flashed to the dog tag, Sergeant L. Morgan. Tom's words were a lifeline, a confirmation that his instincts weren't wrong. As Ethan handed Tom his receipt, the veteran slipped him a business card. "I run a vets support group at the community center. If you ever need backup, kid, you call me. This town's got a short memory, but it's got a big heart when it counts." Ethan pocketed the card, a flicker of hope igniting. "Appreciate that, sir." Tom tipped his cap and walked off, leaving Ethan with something he hadn't felt in days: an ally. The rest of the shift wasn't so kind. At lunch, Sarah from Register 6 cornered him in the break room. "You're dragging us all down, Ethan. Hargrove's saying the whole front end's sloppy now. He's got corporate sniffing around." Ethan's temper flared. "I paid with my own money." "Sarah, how's that your problem?" She crossed her arms. "It's my problem when they start auditing us all. Keep your hero crap to yourself." Ethan walked away, his jaw tight. He didn't need Sarah's approval. But her words stung, a reminder that his choice had ripple effects. By afternoon, the news crew was back, now joined by a second van from Nashville. Carla intercepted them, but Ethan overheard her on the walkie-talkie. "He's not talking. Focus on the store, not the kid." Ethan was grateful, but the pressure was mounting. During a quiet moment, he pulled out Tom's card. Reading the faded print, Clarksville Veteran Support Network. Maybe Tom was right. Maybe the town would come around. But as he slipped the card back into his pocket, his fingers brushed the dog tag, and a new worry surfaced. What if Sergeant Morgan didn't want her story told? What if she was out there, watching this circus, feeling exposed? The thought was a knot in his chest, one he couldn't untie. Saturday afternoon at the Clarksville Walmart was chaos. The viral video had turned the store into a magnet for curious shoppers, amateur sleuths, and media hounds. Ethan Harper, at Register 4, felt like a fish in a bowl. Every move watched, every word dissected. The dog tag in his pocket, Sergeant L. Morgan, U.S. Army, was a quiet reminder of why he'd acted. But it did little to ease the storm. The corporate review loomed. Hargrove's complaint was gaining traction. And now, a new conflict was brewing inside the store. One that would push Ethan to his breaking point. The morning had been tense. But by 3 p.m., things escalated. A group of local influencers, self-proclaimed truth seekers with thousands of TikTok followers, showed up, filming themselves in the aisles. "We're here to investigate the Walmart hero," one announced, her phone aimed at Ethan. Customers grumbled, their carts blocked by the entourage. Ethan ignored them, scanning a customer's groceries, but his patience was fraying. "Can you move?" An elderly man snapped at the influencers. "Some of us are trying to shop." The leader, a woman in a neon crop top, laughed. "Chill, Grandpa, we're exposing the truth." Jasmine, at Register 5, muttered, "These clowns are gonna get us all fired." Ethan nodded, but his focus was elsewhere. A familiar face appeared in his line, Mr. Hargrove, the man who'd started it all. His cart was loaded, bulk snacks, a case of beer, a new TV stand, but his scowl was the same. "You're still here," Hargrove said, loud enough for nearby customers to hear. "Thought they'd have canned you by now." Ethan's hands tightened on a bag of chips, but he kept his voice steady. "Just doing my job, sir," Hargrove snorted. "Your job's not playing Santa Claus with my time." Ethan scanned in silence, but Hargrove wasn't done. "I talked to corporate again. They're not happy with you. Kid, you're making this store look like a free-for-all." Customers in line shifted uncomfortably, some glaring at Hargrove, others at Ethan. A woman behind him spoke up. "Leave the boy alone. He helped someone. What's your problem?" Hargrove spun around. "My problem? I don't want my prices jacked up because he's giving handouts." The argument escalated, voices rising, until Carla appeared, her walkie-talkie crackling. "Enough," she said, her tone sharp. "Mr. Hargrove, let's take this to customer service." As Hargrove stormed off, the influencers pounced, filming the drama. "This is gold," one shouted, zooming in on Ethan's face. Ethan's temper snapped. "Can you stop?" he said, louder than he meant. The influencer grinned. "First Amendment. Buddy, you're public property now." Ethan turned away, his heart pounding. He'd never felt so exposed, so powerless. Jasmine leaned over. "Breathe, Ethan. They're leeches. Don't give them more ammo." The rest of his shift was a blur, but the confrontation with Hargrove lingered. During his break, Ethan retreated to the stockroom, needing space. Marcus, the stocker, found him there, sitting on a crate. "Rough day, hero," Marcus teased, but his tone was kind. Ethan sighed, running a hand through his curls. "I didn't sign up for this, man. I just paid for some formula." Marcus nodded, tossing him a water bottle. "World's got a way of twisting good deeds. But you got folks in your corner. That vet, Tom, he's been asking about you." Ethan perked up. Tom Randall, the Vietnam veteran, had given him a spark of hope. "He say anything else?" Marcus shrugged. "Just that he's got your back. Said something about Fort Campbell, too, like he knows people who might know your mystery mom." Ethan's mind raced. Fort Campbell was close, a sprawling army base that fed the town's economy. If Sergeant Morgan was stationed there, maybe Tom could connect the dots. But did Ethan want that? The note had been private, a trust he didn't want to break. Still, the idea of knowing more about her was tempting. As his shift ended, Ethan checked his phone. The influencers had posted their video, titled "Walmart Hero Confronted by Angry Customer." It was already at 10,000 views, with comments piling up. "That old guy's a jerk. Kids in over his head." Ethan closed the app, his head throbbing. He didn't want to be a hero or a villain. He just wanted to understand why this moment, this $10, had turned his life upside down. Clutching the dog tag, he made a decision. He'd reach out to Tom. Not for publicity, but for answers. Little did he know, those answers were closer than he thought. Sunday morning brought a rare day off for Ethan Harper. But rest was a luxury he couldn't afford. The viral storm around his Walmart act of kindness had only grown. With the video now at 100,000 shares and #Walmart Hero trending nationally. Ethan's apartment, usually a sanctuary of textbooks and instant noodles, felt like a bunker under siege. Notifications flooded his phone, supportive messages from strangers. Hateful DMs calling him a fool. Even interview requests from morning shows. He muted everything. But the dog tag on his desk, Sergeant L. Morgan, U.S. Army, kept pulling him back. Today, he'd take a step toward answers. Reaching out to Tom Randall, the Vietnam veteran who'd offered a lifeline. Ethan found Tom's business card tucked in his wallet, its edges worn from being handled. Clarksville Veterans Support Network. He hesitated, his thumb hovering over the number. What if Tom thought he was chasing clout? What if Sergeant Morgan wanted to stay anonymous? But the note, "You made it feel like respect," was a promise. One Ethan felt bound to honor. He dialed, his heart pounding. Tom answered on the second ring, his gravelly voice warm. "Ethan, figured you'd call. You holding up, kid?" Ethan exhaled, relieved. "Trying to, sir. It's a lot." Tom chuckled. "Bet it is. This town loves a circus. Meet me at the community center. Noon. We'll talk." Ethan agreed, grabbing his hoodie and the dog tag. The Clarksville Community Center was a low brick building near downtown, its walls plastered with flyers for AA meetings and kids' soccer. Inside, Ethan found Tom in a small office cluttered with military memorabilia, photos of soldiers, a folded flag, a shelf of dog-eared books on Vietnam. Tom stood, offering a firm handshake. "Sit, kid. You look like you haven't slept in a week." Ethan sank into a chair, the dog tag heavy in his pocket. "Feels like it. The videos everywhere. People are saying I got played. Or I staged it. I just helped a mom." "You know?" Tom nodded, his eyes sharp. "I know, and I meant what I said. She's military. I've seen that look, that pride. You don't fake that." Ethan hesitated, then pulled out the dog tag and note, sliding him across the desk. "She left this in my locker. Sergeant L. Morgan. I don't know what to do with it." Tom's expression shifted, a mix of surprise and recognition. He picked up the dog tag, turning it over. "Morgan. Huh, Fort Campbell's got a few Morgans. I'll ask around, discreetly. She trusted you with this. So we respect that." Ethan nodded, relieved. "I don't want to expose her. I need to know I didn't screw this up." Tom leaned back, his chair creaking. "You didn't, but you're in deep now. This video's bigger than you. And it's gonna get messier before it gets better." Tom's words proved prophetic. That afternoon, Ethan's mom called, frantic. "Ethan, there's a news crew outside my diner. They're asking about you, saying you're some kind of vigilante." "What's going on?" Ethan's stomach dropped. "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to touch you." She sighed. "I know, baby. Just be careful. People are cruel when they smell a story." Ethan hung up, guilt clawing at him. His mom didn't deserve this. And neither did Sergeant Morgan. He wondered if she was out there, watching the chaos, regretting ever stepping into his line. Back at his apartment, Ethan checked the Clarksville Community Board. Unable to resist, a new post had surfaced. This one from an anonymous user. "I know the woman in the video. She's not what you think." The comments were a frenzy. "Spill the tea. Bet she's a con artist." Ethan's pulse raced. Was this real? Or another troll like Clarksville Truth 99? He texted Tom, who replied, "Sit tight. I'm digging." Ethan tried to focus on his coding homework, but his mind was elsewhere. The dog tag, the note, Tom's promise, they were pieces of a puzzle. And Ethan was starting to see the shape of something bigger. But as he drifted to sleep, one question haunted him. What if the truth wasn't what he hoped? Monday morning dawned gray and heavy, mirroring Ethan Harper's mood as he prepared for another shift at Walmart. The viral video had reached 200,000 shares. And the Clarksville store was now a pilgrimage site for media, influencers, and locals hungry for drama. Ethan's act of kindness, paying $10 for a struggling mom's groceries, had become a lightning rod. Splitting the town into camps, those who saw him as a hero, and those who branded him a fool. The dog tag in his pocket, Sergeant L. Morgan, U.S. Army, and her note were his only anchors. But even they couldn't shield him from the growing storm. Today, a new revelation would shift the narrative, bringing Ethan closer to the truth, and to a reckoning. The store was a madhouse. Shoppers crowded the aisles, some blatantly filming Ethan at Register 4. A morning show had mentioned #Walmart hero, amplifying the frenzy. Ethan tried to focus, beep, scan, bag, but every interaction felt loaded. A woman buying shampoo whispered, "You're an inspiration, sweetie." A man in a trucker hat grunted, "Hope you learned your lesson." Ethan's smile was mechanical, his nerves frayed. Jasmine, at Register 5, kept him grounded. "You're tougher than you look. Harper, don't let these vultures get you." But Ethan wasn't sure how much fight he had left. The corporate review was set for tomorrow, and Carla had warned him, termination was a real possibility. Hargrove's complaint, backed by his corporate contact, had painted Ethan as a rule breaker who'd embarrassed the company. The thought of losing his job, of derailing his college plans, of letting his mom down, was a weight he couldn't shake. During a break, he checked his phone, hoping for word from Tom Randall. The veteran had promised to dig into Sergeant Morgan's identity, and Ethan clung to that hope like a lifeline. Tom's text came at noon. "Got something. Meet me after your shift. Community center." Ethan's heart raced. Was this it? The truth about Sergeant Morgan? He pocketed his phone, but the anticipation made his shift drag. Customers kept bringing up the video, some asking invasive questions. Did you know her? Was she really poor? Ethan deflected, but the scrutiny was suffocating. Worse, Sarah from Register 6 was now openly hostile, blaming Ethan for a new policy requiring cashiers to log every transaction manually. "Thanks to you, we're all under a microscope," she snapped during a restock. Ethan didn't respond. He was tired of fighting battles he hadn't started. At 3 p.m., a surprise visitor appeared in Ethan's line, Tom Randall. His Vietnam veteran cap unmistakable. "Couldn't wait," Tom said with a grin, placing a single coffee can on the conveyor. "Got news." Ethan leaned in, lowering his voice. "About her?" Tom nodded, his eyes scanning the crowded store. "Not here. Finish your shift. Meet me at the center. Bring the dog tag." Ethan's pulse quickened, but before he could ask more, Carla's voice crackled over the intercom. "Harper. Office. Now." In the manager's office, Carla and Mr. Daniels, the regional manager, were waiting. Daniels didn't mince words. "Ethan, we've got a problem. Hargrove's contact is pushing for a public apology from you, admitting you broke policy. Corporate's leaning toward it to shut this down." Ethan's jaw dropped. "An apology? For helping someone?" Carla jumped in. "It's not about right or wrong, Ethan. It's about damage control. The video's hurting our brand." Ethan's hands balled into fists. "What about her? The woman I helped? No one's talking about her." Daniels raised an eyebrow. "You know who she is?" Ethan hesitated, the dog tag burning in his pocket. "No," he lied, "but she wasn't a scammer. She was just a mom." Daniels sighed. "Doesn't matter. We need this resolved. Agree to the apology, or we move to suspension." Ethan's voice shook. "I won't apologize for doing the right thing." Carla's eyes widened, but Daniels just nodded. "Your call, kid. We'll see you tomorrow." Ethan left the office, his head spinning. He finished his shift in a daze, ignoring the influences still filming nearby. At 5 p.m., he met Tom at the community center, the dog tag clutched in his hand. Tom wasted no time. "Her name's Lauren Morgan, Sergeant First Class, Fort Campbell, decorated combat medic, 3 tours. Her husband's in rehab after a workplace accident. She's been on leave, caring for him and their kid. Money's tight." Ethan's breath caught. "How'd you find her?" Tom smiled. Vets talk. One of my guys recognized the bunny in the video. His kid plays with Morgan's son at daycare. Ethan stared at the dog tag. Pieces falling into place. Lauren Morgan wasn't just a soldier, she was a hero. Struggling in silence. But Tom's next words hit hard. She doesn't know about the video. Not yet. If she finds out, it could break her. She's proud. Ethan didn't want anyone knowing she was struggling. Ethan's heart sank. He'd wanted to help, not expose her. But the truth was out there. And it was about to change everything. Tuesday morning loomed over Ethan Harper like a guillotine. The corporate review was hours away. And the Walmart in Clarksville was a pressure cooker. The viral video, now at 500,000 shares, had drawn national attention, with hashtag Walmart hero sparking debates on morning shows and Reddit threads. Ethan's act of paying $10 for Sergeant Lauren Morgan's groceries had become a cultural flashpoint. Pitting kindness against cynicism. The dog tag, Sergeant L. Morgan, U.S. Army, and her note were Ethan's talismans. But Tom Randall's warning echoed, Lauren didn't know about the video. And its exposure could shatter her pride. Ethan was torn. Protect her privacy or fight for his job. The store was a zoo. Shoppers clogged the aisles, many there to glimpse the Walmart hero. Ethan, at Register 4, felt like a specimen under glass. Customers were relentless. Some slipped him cash for the next one. Kid, others lectured him, don't be so gullible. Jasmine tried to keep spirits high, cracking jokes about starting a hashtag Walmart hero merch line. But Ethan's smile was forced. The weight of the review, the threat of suspension, and the fear of exposing Lauren Morgan were crushing him. He hadn't slept properly in days. His coding homework untouched. His dreams haunted by Hargrove's sneer and Lauren's tired eyes. At 10 a.m., a new development hit. Tom Randall texted, Fort Campbell's heard about the video. They're looking into it. Ethan's stomach dropped. If the army knew, Lauren would soon, too. He pictured her, proud, stoic, a combat medic who'd saved lives. Learning her moment of vulnerability was a viral spectacle. The guilt was suffocating. He'd wanted to help, not humiliate her. During a break, he called Tom, his voice tight. What do they know? Tom was calm but serious. Just that a soldier was involved. They're trying to ID her. I didn't give her name. But it's only a matter of time. Ethan hung up, his mind racing. He had to protect Lauren's dignity. But how? The corporate review was at 2 p.m. And Carla had hinted that an apology might save his job. But apologizing felt like betraying Lauren. Admitting her struggle was a mistake. He thought of his mom, who'd faced her own moments of shame in grocery lines, and how she'd taught him to stand tall. Ethan wasn't sure he could bend now, not even to save himself. Back at his register, trouble brewed. Hargrove returned, this time with a friend, a man in a polo shirt who introduced himself as a concerned citizen. You're still causing problems, Hargrove said, his cart filled with bulk snacks. Corporate's gonna hear about this again. The friend chimed in, filming Ethan with his phone. This is what's wrong with America. Kids thinking they can break rules and get famous. Ethan's temper flared, but he kept scanning, his voice low. I'm just doing my job. Sir, the friend smirked. Not for long. Jasmine overheard and jumped in. Back off, guys. He helped a mom, not robbed a bank. The confrontation drew a crowd. Phones out, filming. Carla appeared, her face grim. Hargrove, enough. Take it outside. As Hargrove and his friend left, Carla turned to Ethan. You're not helping yourself. Ethan, stay out of trouble until the review. Ethan nodded, but his resolve was hardening. He wouldn't apologize. Not when Lauren's note, you made it feel like respect, was the only thing keeping him grounded. At 1 p.m., Ethan slipped into the break room. Needing a moment, Marcus was there, eating a sandwich. You look like hell, man, Marcus said, tossing him a soda. What's the plan? Ethan shook his head. No plan, just trying to do the right thing. Marcus nodded. Heard from Tom. He's got friends at Fort Campbell. They're digging, but it's messy. You sure you want to go down with this ship? Ethan's fingers brushed the dog tag. It's not about me anymore. As the review approached, Ethan's phone buzzed with a new text from Tom. Fort Campbell's sending someone to the store. Be ready. Ethan's heart skipped. Was it Lauren? The army? The truth was closing in. And Ethan wasn't sure he was ready for it. But as he headed to the manager's office, the dog tag in his pocket felt like a promise, one he'd keep. No matter the cost. Tuesday afternoon at the Clarksville Walmart was a powder keg. And Ethan Harper was at its center. The corporate review was underway in the manager's office. But the store was about to host a different kind of reckoning. The viral video, now at 1 million shares, had drawn the attention of Fort Campbell. And Tom Randall's text, "They're sending someone," had Ethan on edge. The dog tag in his pocket, Sergeant L. Morgan, U.S. Army, was a reminder of why he'd stood his ground. But the cost was mounting. As he scanned groceries at Register 4, waiting for the review's outcome, a military convoy pulled into the parking lot, changing everything. The store was a circus, with shoppers and media packed in tight. Ethan's register was a focal point. Customers lingering to watch the Walmart hero in action. Jasmine kept him sane, whispering, "You got this, Harper. Whatever happens, you're a legend." But Ethan wasn't feeling legendary. The threat of suspension, the guilt over exposing Lauren Morgan, and the relentless scrutiny had worn him thin. He hadn't eaten properly in days. His coding class is a distant memory. All he had was the note. You made it feel like respect. It was enough, for now. At 2:30 p.m., the intercom crackled. Harper. Front entrance. Now, Ethan's stomach lurched. He handed his register to Jasmine, ignoring the stares, and headed to the doors. Outside, 2 Army SUVs and a Humvee were parked, their presence drawing a crowd. Shoppers pressed against the windows. Phones out. Through the sliding doors walked a female officer in dress blues, flanked by 2 enlisted soldiers. Behind them was a familiar figure, Lauren Morgan. Not in her faded t-shirt but in full Army uniform. Her service ribbons gleaming. Her toddler, in a tiny camouflage jacket, clung to her hand, his stuffed bunny under his arm. The store went silent, a rare hush falling over the chaos. Ethan stood frozen, his Walmart vest absurdly out of place. Lauren's eyes met his, steady but guarded, and Ethan's heart sank. Did she know about the video? Was she angry? The officer, Colonel Amanda Reese, stepped forward, her voice carrying, "We're here to recognize an associate for exceptional support of a service member in need." Is Ethan Harper present? Ethan raised a hand, his voice barely audible. "That's me, Mom." Colonel Reese addressed the crowd. Sergeant First Class Lauren Morgan is a decorated combat medic, with 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. 2 months ago, she returned to care for her husband, injured in a civilian accident, and their son, who's been battling a chronic illness. Last week, she faced a moment of hardship in this store. Lauren stepped forward, her posture impeccable. "I was short on funds for my son's formula and medicine. I felt like I'd failed him. Failed everything I'd fought for." Her voice wavered, but she held Ethan's gaze. "This young man didn't just pay for my groceries. He gave me dignity when I had none." Ethan's throat tightened. He wanted to say something. "Sorry. Thank you. Anything," but words failed. Colonel Reese continued, presenting Ethan with a civilian service citation. "A rare honor. The Army values compassion and courage, on and off the battlefield." Ethan Harper exemplified those values. Lauren saluted Ethan, who fumbled a salute back. His face red. Her toddler giggled, breaking the tension. And the crowd erupted in applause. Smartphones captured every second, the moment destined to go viral again. Carla and Mr. Daniels emerged from the office. Stunned, Daniels whispered to Carla, "This changes everything." Ethan barely heard, his eyes on Lauren. As the ceremony ended, she approached, her son at her side. "I didn't know about the video until yesterday," she said quietly. "I was ashamed, but you didn't do this for fame. You did it for us." Ethan swallowed hard. "I'm sorry it got out. I just wanted to help." Lauren smiled, a rare softness in her eyes. "You did, more than you know." The crowd dispersed, but the impact lingered. Ethan returned to his register, the citation in his pocket. But Lauren's words were what stayed with him. The review was postponed, corporate reeling from the Army's endorsement. But as Ethan scanned the next customer's groceries, he knew the story wasn't over. The truth was out, but the world was still watching. The Clarksville Walmart was still reeling Tuesday evening, hours after the Army's surprise ceremony honoring Ethan Harper. The viral video, now at 5 million views, had a new chapter: security footage paired with clips of Sergeant Lauren Morgan in uniform, saluting a flustered Ethan. #Walmart hero was a global trend, and the narrative had flipped. Ethan, once called naive or staged, was now a symbol of quiet courage. But for Ethan, the weight of the spotlight was heavier than ever. The corporate review was on hold, but Hargrove's complaint lingered, and Lauren's words, "You gave me dignity," echoed in his mind. A responsibility he wasn't sure he could carry. The store was quieter now, the media frenzy tapering as news crews chased the next story. Ethan, back at Register 4, scanned groceries mechanically, his Walmart vest now adorned with a small Army pin from Lauren. Customers were kinder, many shook his hand. Some slipped him notes, "Proud of you, son," but the attention felt like a borrowed coat. Ill-fitting and temporary. Jasmine, ever loyal, kept the mood light. "You're basically a celebrity, Harper. When's the movie deal?" Ethan chuckled, but his heart wasn't in it. He was exhausted, his coding classes neglected, his apartment a mess of unopened bills. At home, Ethan's mom called, her voice thick with pride. "I saw the ceremony on the news. Baby, you made me so proud." Ethan sank onto his couch, the dog tag on his desk glinting under the lamp. "I didn't do it for this, Mom. I just helped." She laughed softly. "That's why it matters. You didn't need a camera." Her words helped, but the guilt lingered. Lauren had been exposed, her private struggle laid bare. Ethan wondered if he'd failed her. Despite her thanks, online, the tide had turned. The Clarksville Community Board was flooded with apologies. "I was wrong about this kid. He's the real deal." Even Clarksville Truth 99 posted, "I jumped the gun. Sorry, Ethan." But not everyone was swayed. Hargrove's friend, the concerned citizen, had started a petition, "Hold Walmart accountable for policy breaches." It had 500 signatures, mostly from locals who saw Ethan's act as a slippery slope. Hargrove himself was silent, his social media accounts locked. But Ethan knew he wasn't done. Wednesday brought a new twist. Carla called Ethan to the office, her face unreadable. "Corporates rethinking the review. The Army's endorsement is a PR goldmine. They're talking about a promotion, maybe a community outreach role." Ethan blinked, stunned. "A promotion? I thought I was getting fired." Carla smiled, a rare sight. "You still broke policy, but the optics are too good. Just don't do it again." Ethan nodded, but the idea of a promotion felt hollow. He didn't want a reward, he wanted normalcy. That afternoon, Tom Randall stopped by the store, his veteran cap tilted jauntily. "Heard you're a big shot now," he teased, buying his usual coffee. Ethan shrugged. "Just trying to survive, sir." Tom's eyes softened. "You did more than that. Lauren's talking to her CO about you." They're impressed. Ethan's heart skipped. She's okay with all this? Tom nodded. She's tough, but she's grateful. You gave her something to hold on to. As Tom left, Ethan's phone buzzed with a new text from an unknown number. This is Lauren. Can we meet? Need to talk. Ethan's breath caught. He'd wanted answers, but now that they were here, he wasn't sure he was ready. He texted back, name the time and place. The response was immediate. Community center. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Ethan pocketed his phone. The dog tag a familiar weight. The truth was out, but the story was far from over. Lauren Morgan had more to say, and Ethan was about to learn just how deep their connection ran. Thursday evening at the Clarksville Community Center was quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos of Ethan Harper's week. The viral video, now at 10 million views, had made him a household name, but Ethan felt like a stranger in his own life. The corporate review was on ice. Hargrove's petition was losing steam, and the Army's endorsement had turned the tide. Yet Ethan's mind was on one thing: his meeting with Sergeant Lauren Morgan. Her text, need to talk, had left him restless, torn between relief and dread. The dog tag in his pocket was a lifeline, but as he walked into the center, he wondered what Lauren wanted, and whether he'd let her down. The center's meeting room was small, lit by a single fluorescent bulb. Lauren sat at a folding table, her toddler, Jack, coloring on a sheet of paper. She wasn't in uniform, just jeans and a gray hoodie, but her posture was still soldier straight. Jack's stuffed bunny sat beside him. Its ears flopped over. Ethan hesitated at the door. His Walmart vest swapped for a hoodie. The dog tag clutched in his hand. Sergeant Morgan, he said, his voice tentative. She looked up, her eyes tired but warm. Call me Lauren. Sit. Ethan took a chair, setting the dog tag on the table. I wasn't sure you'd want to see me. After the video, Lauren's smile was faint. I didn't, at first. When my CO showed me the footage, I was mortified. My struggle, my son's face, out there for the world to judge. Ethan's heart sank. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it'd blow up like this. Lauren raised a hand. It's not your fault. You didn't post it, and you didn't help me for likes. That's why I'm here. Jack looked up, offering Ethan a crayon. Draw. Ethan smiled, taking it, and scribbled a lopsided star. Lauren watched, her expression softening. You remind me of my husband. Before the accident, he'd do anything for a stranger. No questions asked. Ethan's throat tightened. Tom told me about him. I'm sorry. Lauren nodded, her eyes distant. He's in rehab, fighting to walk again. Jack's been sick, and I've been on leave. Trying to hold it together. That day at Walmart, it was my lowest point. Ethan listened, the weight of her words settling in. I didn't know who you were. I just saw a mom. A kid. I've been there. My mom. She struggled too. Lauren's eyes met his. A spark of understanding. That's why you did it. Not pity, empathy. She reached for the dog tag, her fingers tracing the engraving. I left this because I wanted you to know I wasn't just some sob story. I'm a soldier, but that day, I was just a mom who couldn't afford formula. Ethan's voice was quiet. I didn't want to expose you. If I could take the video back, I would. Lauren shook her head. Don't. It's out there, and it's doing good. My CO says it's inspiring soldiers, showing we're human. And Jack, she ruffled her son's hair. He keeps asking about Mr. Ethan. Says he wants to be kind like you. Ethan's face flushed, and Jack grinned, holding up his drawing, a messy heart. For you. Ethan took it, his eyes stinging. Thanks, buddy. Lauren leaned forward, serious now. I need a favor. The Army's planning a community event to honor you and raise awareness for military families. I want you there, not as a hero, but as you. Will you do it? Ethan hesitated. The spotlight terrified him, but Lauren's trust was a weight he couldn't ignore. I'll be there, he said, his voice firm. Lauren smiled. A real one this time. Good. And Ethan, keep that dog tag. It's yours now. As Ethan walked home, Jack's drawing in his pocket. He felt lighter. The meeting hadn't erased the chaos, but it had given him clarity. Lauren wasn't just a soldier or a mom, she was a person. Like him, navigating a world that didn't always make sense. The event loomed, and with it, a chance to set the record straight. But as he checked his phone, a new post on the Clarksville community board caught his eye. Hargrove's planning a protest at the Army event. Says Ethan's a fraud. Ethan's jaw tightened. The fight wasn't over, but now, he had Lauren and Jack in his corner. The following Monday, Clarksville was abuzz with anticipation. The Army's community event, set for that evening at Fort Campbell's Community Center, was billed as a celebration of everyday heroes, with Ethan Harper and Sergeant Lauren Morgan at its heart. The viral video, now at 15 million views, had transformed Ethan's $10 act of kindness into a movement, inspiring #kindness challenges across the country. But not everyone was celebrating. Mr. Hargrove's petition, now at 1.000 signatures, had morphed into a planned protest, accusing Ethan of exploiting policy for fame. As Ethan prepared for the event, he braced for a final showdown, one that would test his resolve and redefine his story. Ethan spent the day at Walmart, his last shift before the event. The store was calmer, the media frenzy fading, but tension lingered. Customers were overwhelmingly supportive. Many left notes or small gifts at his register, but Sarah from Register 6 was still cold. "You're loving this, aren't you?" she said during a break. All this attention. Ethan's patience snapped. "You think I wanted this? I'm just trying to keep my job." Sarah shrugged, walking away, but her words stung. Ethan didn't want fame, he wanted peace. Jasmine, as always, had his back. "Forget her, Harper. You're doing something real tonight. Focus on that." Ethan nodded, but his nerves were frayed. The corporate review had been cancelled, replaced by an offer of a community outreach role. But Ethan hadn't accepted yet. He wasn't sure he wanted to be Walmart's hero forever. The dog tag and Jack's drawing, tucked in his wallet, were reminders of why he'd acted, not for the store, but for people like Lauren and her son. At 5 p.m., Ethan met Tom Randall at the community center to prep for the event. Tom, in his Vietnam veteran cap, was all business. "Hargrove's got a dozen people planning to picket outside. They're calling you a fraud, saying the Army's in on it." Ethan's stomach churned. "A fraud? I didn't ask for any of this." Tom clapped his shoulder. "They're loud, but they're small. You've got Fort Campbell behind you. And Lauren, show up. Tell your truth." The event began at 6 p.m., the center packed with soldiers, families, and locals. Ethan, in a borrowed blazer, stood awkwardly beside Lauren, who was in dress blues. Jack at her side. Colonel Amanda Reese opened with a speech about military resilience, then introduced Lauren. "Sergeant Morgan is a hero, not just for her service, but for her strength as a mother," Reese said. Lauren took the mic, her voice steady. "Last week, I was at my breaking point. Ethan Harper didn't just help me, he reminded me that kindness is stronger than shame." Ethan spoke next, his voice shaky. "I didn't know Sergeant Morgan was a soldier. I just saw a mom, a kid, and a need. I'd do it again." No cameras, no crowd. The room applauded. But outside, chants broke through. "No more handouts. Walmart's a scam." Hargrove's group, small but vocal, waved signs. Ethan's heart sank, but Lauren squeezed his arm. "Ignore them. They don't get it." The event ended with a surprise. Colonel Reese announced a Fort Campbell Fund for military families. Inspired by Ethan's act, Ethan was stunned, his eyes stinging as the crowd gave a standing ovation. But as he left the stage, Hargrove pushed through the crowd. His face red. "You're a fraud, kid. This is all a stunt." Before Ethan could respond, Tom stepped in, his voice low. "Back off, Hargrove. You're embarrassing yourself." The crowd turned, some booing, others filming. Hargrove retreated, his protest fizzling under the weight of the room's support. As the night ended, Lauren pulled Ethan aside. "You didn't just help me. You gave Jack hope." "Thank you." She handed him a photo of Jack, smiling with his bunny. Ethan took it, his throat tight. "Tell him to keep being kind." Lauren nodded. "He will." Weeks after the Fort Campbell event, Clarksville had settled into a new normal. But Ethan Harper's life was forever changed. The viral video, now at 20 million views, had sparked a national conversation about kindness, policy, and the struggles of military families. Ethan's $10 act, paying for Sergeant Lauren Morgan's groceries, had become a symbol, not just of compassion, but of the power of small choices. Hargrove's protest had fizzled, his petition ignored, and Walmart Corporate had embraced Ethan as a PR win. But for Ethan, the real legacy was personal, rooted in Lauren's note, Jack's drawing, and the dog tag he now wore on a chain. Ethan returned to Register 4. His Walmart vest now a quiet badge of honor. The army pin and dog tag were constants, reminders of Lauren and Jack. Customers still mentioned the video, but the frenzy had faded, replaced by a steady stream of gratitude. "You inspired me to pay for someone's coffee," a woman told him. It felt good. Ethan smiled, bagging her groceries. "That's what it's about." Jasmine, his rock, teased him mercilessly. "You're a brand now, Harper. Hashtag Walmart hero forever." Ethan laughed, but he was ready to move on. Corporate's offer of a community outreach role was tempting, but Ethan declined, choosing to focus on his coding classes. He wanted a future in tech, not tied to a moment that, while meaningful, wasn't his whole story. His professors noticed a change. Ethan's essays now explored ethics in technology. Inspired by his experience, "I learned that the biggest impacts come from the smallest actions." He wrote in one, earning an A. His mom, beaming, framed the citation from Fort Campbell, hanging it in her diner. Lauren Morgan returned to duty, her husband's recovery progressing. She sent Ethan updates, a photo of Jack at daycare, a note about her next deployment. "Jack says he's gonna be Mr. Ethan when he grows up." She wrote, "I told him that's a fine goal." Ethan kept the photo in his wallet, next to Jack's drawing. The Fort Campbell Fund, launched at the event, was thriving, helping dozens of families. Ethan volunteered there monthly, at Tom Randall's urging, connecting with veterans who saw him as one of their own. Hargrove never returned to the store, his social media silent. The Clarksville Community Board, once a battleground, now hosted threads about kindness challenges. Even Sarah from Register 6 softened, admitting, "I was wrong, Ethan. You did good." Ethan nodded, no grudge held. He'd learned that cynicism was loud, but kindness was louder. Walmart Corporate launched Ethan's Fund, a discretionary budget for cashiers to help customers in need. Other retailers followed, and the policy made national news. Ethan, uncomfortable with the name, insisted it wasn't about him. "It's about people like Lauren," he told a local reporter. His only interview, "They're the real heroes." Months later, Ethan was still at Register 4. But his dreams were bigger. He applied for a tech internship, using Tom's veteran network for a recommendation. As he scanned groceries, the dog tag around his neck glinted, a quiet reminder of a moment that had changed him. He didn't overthink it, didn't dwell on the fame. He'd just seen a mom, a kid, a need, and acted. Sometimes, the bravest choices happen at the smallest crossroads, a register, a line of impatient customers, and the decision